Today, I want to talk about something heavy, but also something beautiful. I want to talk about the feeling of being responsible for your family. Maybe you are the oldest child. Maybe you are the only child. Maybe your parents are getting older. Maybe your family depends on you financially. Maybe they depend on you emotionally. Or maybe no one ever said it directly, but somehow you feel it. You feel that it is your job to be strong, to succeed, to protect, to not fail. And sometimes that responsibility feels like love, but sometimes it feels like pressure. If you are listening right now and quietly thinking, yes, that's me, then I want you to know something. You are not alone. I remember a morning when I woke up before sunrise. The sky was still dark. My room was quiet. My phone was on the table beside my bed, and before I even opened my eyes fully, I felt that familiar weight in my chest. It wasn't fear, exactly. It was responsibility. I lay there for a few minutes and, staring at the ceiling, I thought about my parents. I thought about the bills they used to pay when I was a child. I thought about how they worked long hours. I thought about the sacrifices they made without complaining. And then I thought, now it's my turn. That sentence stayed in my mind. Now it's my turn. Say it slowly with me. Now it's my turn. When we say it's my turn, we usually talk about something small. It's my turn to speak. It's my turn to drive. It's my turn to pay for dinner. But sometimes it's my turn means something much bigger. It means it's my turn to carry the weight. It's my turn to protect. It's my turn to be the strong one. Maybe you have said this sentence in your own heart. Now it's my turn. There is strength in that sentence, but there is also loneliness. Because when you believe it is your turn to be strong, you sometimes feel that you are not allowed to be weak. Let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I met a student. He was quiet, polite, always on time. He worked during the day and studied English at night after class. He never stayed to talk. He always left quickly. One evening, I asked him gently, "You look tired. Are you sleeping enough?" He smiled and said, "I'm fine." That phrase, "I'm fine," is one of the most common phrases in English. But it can mean many things. Sometimes it means truly okay. Sometimes it means not okay at all. Say it with me, "I'm fine." Now say it again, but imagine you are very tired. "I'm fine." Do you hear the difference? Language is not only words, it is feeling. Later, he told me more. His father had lost his job. His mother was not healthy. He was the only one working full-time. He paid the rent. He paid the electricity. He paid for his younger sister's school fees. And he said something that I will never forget. "If I stop, everything stops." Repeat that sentence slowly. If I stop, everything stops. That is a heavy sentence. When you feel responsible for your family, you may feel like this. If I rest, everything collapses. If I fail, everyone suffers. If I am weak, the whole system breaks. But here is something important. Responsibility does not mean you are a machine. You are not a machine. You are a human being. Sometimes, when we feel responsible for our family, we confuse responsibility with control. We think we must control everything. Control the money. Control the future. control everyone's happiness. But life does not work like that. Let me share another moment from my own life. There was a time when I tried to solve every problem for my family. If someone was stressed, I gave advice. If someone was worried about money, I offered solutions. If someone was sad, I tried to fix it immediately. I believed that love meant solving. Love means solving. Try saying that. Love means solving. But over time, I realized something different. Love does not always mean solving. Sometimes, love means listening. Sometimes, love means sitting quietly next to someone. Sometimes, love means saying, "I don't know the answer, but I'm here." Say this with me. I'm here. 3 simple words. I'm here. When you feel responsible for your family, you may carry invisible pressure every day. You go to work. You smile. You answer messages. You study English. You improve yourself. But inside, you are calculating. How much money do I need next month? What if my parents get sick? What if I lose my job? What if I disappoint them? That phrase, disappoint them, can hurt deeply. To disappoint someone means to fail their expectations. Repeat it slowly. Disappoint. Sometimes we are not afraid of failing ourselves. We are afraid of failing the people we love. Maybe you have had this thought. I can handle my own pain, but I cannot handle being the reason they suffer. That is a very loving thought, but it is also very heavy. I remember visiting my parents one weekend. We were sitting at the table after dinner. The plates were empty. The conversation became quiet. My mother looked at me and said, "You work too much." I immediately replied, "No, I'm fine." There it was again. I'm fine. But this time, she looked at me carefully and said, "You don't always have to be strong." That sentence surprised me. You don't always have to be strong. Say it with me. You don't always have to be strong. Sometimes, when you are the responsible one, people see you as strong. And when people see you as strong, they forget that you can get tired. But strength and vulnerability can exist together. Vulnerability means allowing yourself to be seen in your weakness. Try saying it. Vulnerability. It is not an easy word. Say it slowly. Vulnerability. When you allow vulnerability, you say, "I'm tired. I'm scared. I need help." These are not weak sentences. They are honest sentences. Let's practice one. I need help. Say it again. I need help. For many people who feel responsible for their family, that sentence is very difficult. Because in your mind, you are the helper, not the one who asks for help. But even the helper needs support. I once read a simple idea that changed me. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Imagine you have a cup of water. If the cup is empty, can you give water to someone else? No. To pour means to let liquid flow from one container to another. Repeat. Pour. You cannot pour from an empty cup. If you are exhausted, emotionally empty, constantly anxious, you cannot truly support your family in a healthy way. Taking care of yourself is not selfish. Say that slowly. Taking care of myself is not selfish. Again. Taking care of myself is not selfish. Maybe no one ever told you that clearly. When you feel responsible, you may feel guilty when you rest, guilty when you spend money on yourself, guilty when you say no. Guilt is a heavy emotion. It makes you feel that you have done something wrong. But rest is not wrong. Boundaries are not wrong. Saying I can't do this right now is not wrong. Let me tell you another story. There was a period when I accepted every extra task at work. Extra classes, extra meetings, extra projects. I thought, the more I do, the more secure my family will be. But slowly, I became irritable. I slept less. I stopped exercising. I stopped reading for pleasure. One evening, I was so tired that I forgot an important appointment. I felt terrible, not because of the appointment, but because I realized I was not functioning well. That word functioning means working properly. I was not functioning well. When we try to carry everything, sometimes we drop everything. And that is the paradox. A paradox is something that seems contradictory but is true. When you try to be strong all the time, you become weaker. When you try to control everything, you lose control. When you never rest, you become less productive. Maybe you've experienced this too. I want you to imagine something right now. Imagine your family sitting together. Imagine them looking at you. Do you think they want you to suffer silently? Do you think they want you to feel alone? Do you think they want you to sacrifice your health completely? Maybe some expectations exist, maybe cultural pressure exists, but underneath all that, there is love. And love does not want to destroy you. Sometimes we create more pressure in our own mind than anyone else creates for us. We imagine their disappointment. We imagine their criticism. We imagine their judgment. But imagination is not always reality. Here is a gentle sentence I want you to try. I am doing my best. Say it slowly. I am doing my best. Again, I am doing my best. When you feel responsible for your family, this sentence can be a lifeline. A lifeline is something that saves you in a difficult situation. You are doing your best. Not perfect, not all-powerful, not superhuman, just human. And being human is enough. Let me share one more quiet moment. I was walking home late one night after work. The streets were almost empty. The air was cool. I thought about all the goals I had: financial goals, career goals, personal goals. I suddenly asked myself a question. If I achieve all these things, but lose my peace, is it worth it? Peace is not a luxury. Peace is not weakness. Peace is stability inside your heart. If you constantly live in stress, fear, and pressure, your body and mind will eventually react. Responsibility should motivate you. It should not destroy you. There is a difference between healthy responsibility and toxic pressure. Healthy responsibility says, I care. I will do what I can. Toxic pressure says, if I fail, I am worthless. Did you hear the difference? One is based on care. The other is based on fear. Fear can push you forward for a while, but love can carry you for a lifetime. When you speak English about your life, you are not just learning vocabulary. You are learning how to name your emotions. For example, I feel overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means you feel too much pressure at the same time. Say it. I feel overwhelmed. I feel proud. Proud means satisfied and happy with what you have done. I feel proud. You can feel overwhelmed and proud at the same time. You can feel tired and grateful at the same time. Human emotions are complex, and English gives you tools to describe that complexity. Maybe tonight, after listening to this episode, you can try something simple. Stand in front of a mirror, look at yourself, and say, I am trying, I am learning, I am carrying a lot, and I am still here. Still here. That phrase is powerful. It means you have not given up. You are still here. When you feel responsible for your family, remember this. You are not alone in that feeling. You are not weak for feeling tired. You are not selfish for wanting balance. You are not failing just because you are human. Maybe your role in your family is important. Maybe your support truly makes a difference. But you are allowed to grow slowly. You are allowed to make mistakes. You are allowed to ask for help. You are allowed to rest. And as you learn English, as you practice speaking, as you describe your experiences, you are building more than language. You are building clarity. Clarity about what you feel. Clarity about what you need. Clarity about who you are. When you can say in English, I feel responsible for my family, you are not just practicing a sentence. You are telling your story. And your story matters. So tonight or tomorrow morning, when that familiar weight appears in your chest, when you think about money, expectations, or the future, take one slow breath and say quietly, I am doing my best. Let those words sit inside you. You are not just a provider. You are not just a problem solver. You are a person. A person who loves deeply. A person who tries sincerely. A person who deserves care too. And before we say goodbye today, I want to stay with you a little longer in this feeling, because responsibility is not something that disappears after one conversation. It follows you into your mornings, into your decisions, into the way you check your bank account, into the way you answer your parents' phone calls. Sometimes responsibility is quiet. It sits in the background of your life like soft music. Other times it is loud. It wakes you up at 3 a.m. with questions that have no easy answers. I remember a night like that. I woke up suddenly. The room was dark, and my heart was beating faster than normal. Nothing had happened. No emergency. No phone call. Just thoughts. What if something goes wrong? What if I'm not prepared? What if I'm not enough? That phrase, not enough, can be very painful. Say it slowly. Not enough. Many people who feel responsible for their families secretly carry this fear, not that they will fail completely, but that they will not be enough. Not successful enough, not strong enough, not generous enough, not fast enough. But let me ask you something gently. Who decided what enough means? Sometimes enough is not a number. It is not a salary. It is not a title. It is not a perfect solution. Sometimes enough is effort. Sometimes enough is presence. Sometimes enough is simply not giving up. When you feel responsible, you may measure your worth by what you provide. But your value is not only in what you provide. It is in who you are. Try saying this. My value is not only in what I provide. Again, slowly. My value is not only in what I provide. You might need to repeat that sentence many times before you truly believe it. There is another sentence I often hear from students who support their families. I don't have a choice. Repeat that. I don't have a choice. Sometimes this sentence is true in a practical sense. There are real responsibilities, real bills, real needs. But emotionally, when you believe you have no choice, you can begin to feel trapped. Trapped means unable to move freely. I want to offer you a small shift in language. Instead of saying, I don't have a choice, try saying, I choose to do this because I care. Say it slowly. I choose to do this because I care. Can you feel the difference? The situation may be the same. You still work. You still support. You still carry responsibility. But emotionally, you move from victim to decision maker. You are not only forced, you are choosing out of love. That small change in language can change how you experience your life. Language shapes thought, thought shapes emotion, emotion shapes action. This is why learning English is not only about grammar, it is about awareness. When you describe your life in English, you begin to notice it more clearly. For example, I feel pressure. Pressure is like a weight pushing down on you. Now try this. I feel pressure, but I also feel purpose. Purpose means a reason to do something, a meaningful reason. Pressure without purpose feels heavy and empty. Pressure with purpose feels difficult, but meaningful. Maybe you can say, I feel tired, but I feel proud. Say it. I feel tired, but I feel proud. Both can exist together. You are allowed to feel both. There was a moment in my life when I finally told my father, sometimes I'm scared. It was a simple sentence. Sometimes I'm scared. I expected him to be disappointed. I expected him to think I was weak. But he didn't. He just nodded and said, me too. That surprised me. The people we think are strongest also feel fear. The people we think depend on us may also worry about us. Responsibility does not move in only one direction. Sometimes your family depends on you financially, but you depend on them emotionally. And that is not weakness. That is connection. Connection means being linked together in a meaningful way. You are not carrying everything alone, even if it feels like that sometimes. I want to guide you through a small reflection. Imagine you are sitting with your younger self, maybe you at 10 years old or 15 years old. That younger version of you had dreams, hopes, maybe fears. Would that younger version be proud of who you are today? Not because of your salary, not because of your achievements, but because you are trying, because you care. Sometimes we forget to see ourselves with kindness. Kindness is something we easily give to others, but rarely give to ourselves. Try this sentence. I am allowed to be human. Say it slowly. I am allowed to be human. Being human means making mistakes. Being human means feeling overwhelmed. Being human means sometimes wanting to escape from pressure. But you are still here. You are still showing up. Showing up means being present and participating, even when it's hard. Every time you wake up and go to work, every time you send money home, every time you listen to a family member's problem, every time you study English at night, even though you are tired, you are showing up. And that matters. There is one more idea I want to leave with you. Responsibility can become your identity if you are not careful. You can start to thinking, I am the responsible one. And that becomes your only role. But you are more than that. You are also a friend, a dreamer, a learner, a person with your own desires. It is healthy to ask yourself sometimes, what do I want? Not what they need, not what is expected, but what do I want? This question is not selfish. It is necessary. Because if you ignore your own desires for too long, resentment can grow. Resentment is a quiet anger that builds slowly over time. And resentment can damage relationships. Taking care of your own dreams is not betrayal. It is balance. Balance means giving attention to different parts of your life in a healthy way. You can care for your family and still care for yourself. You can support others and still build your own future. You can be responsible and still be free inside. Freedom does not always mean living ate. Sometimes freedom means choosing consciously. Tonight, before you sleep, I invite you to say 3 sentences out loud. I care about my family, I care about myself. I am learning to balance both. Say them slowly. Feel the weight of the first sentence. Feel the gentleness of the second. Feel the hope in the third. You are not alone in this journey. Around the world, there are millions of people who wake up early, who work hard, who carry responsibility quietly. And maybe they are listening right now, just like you. You are part of a silent community of people who love deeply. And love is not weakness. Love is strength. But strength does not mean silence. Strength does not mean ignoring your limits. Strength sometimes means saying, I need a moment. I need rest. I need support. And if no one has told you this clearly, let me tell you now. I am proud of you. Not in a dramatic way, not in a loud way, but in a quiet, steady way. Because you are trying. Because you care. Because even with pressure, even with fear, you are still learning, still growing, still listening. And as you continue learning English, let it become a space where you can breathe. A space where you can describe your worries. A space where you can name your hopes. A space where you can practice saying the things you rarely say out loud. You are not just building vocabulary. You are building a voice. And your voice deserves to be heard not only by others, but by yourself. So if tomorrow feels heavy, remember this conversation. Remember that responsibility can be carried with love, not fear. Remember that you are allowed to be human. Remember that you are doing your best. And that is enough. Before we truly close this space, I want to stay just a little longer with the quiet parts of this feeling, the parts that are harder to explain to other people. Sometimes responsibility is not loud. It does not shout. It whispers. It whispers when you are about to buy something for yourself and you hesitate. It whispers when you think about changing jobs but worry about stability. It whispers when your friends invite you on a trip and you calculate the cost in your head. Calculate. That means to carefully think about numbers. When you feel responsible for your family, you are always calculating time, energy, money, risk. And sometimes you are calculating your dreams. You may think, Can I afford this dream? Not only financially, but emotionally. Because dreams require risk, and risk feels dangerous when other people depend on you. Risk means the possibility of loss or failure. Say it slowly. Risk. When you were younger, maybe risk felt exciting. Now, risk might feel irresponsible. But here is something gentle to consider. There is also risk in never trying. There is risk in staying in a job that slowly drains you. Drains you, that means slowly takes away your energy. There is risk in ignoring your talents. There is risk in living only for obligation. Obligation is something you feel you must do, even if you do not want to. Sometimes we confuse love with obligation. Love says, I care about you. Obligation says, I have no choice. And when love turns into pure obligation, it can start to feel heavy and cold. I remember a conversation with a friend who supports his entire family. He once told me, I don't know what I want anymore. I only know what everyone else needs. That sentence stayed with me. I don't know what I want anymore. Say it quietly. I don't know what I want anymore. That is a very honest sentence. When your life becomes focused on meeting others' needs, your own voice can become softer and softer. But your voice does not disappear. It waits. It waits for a moment of silence. It waits for a safe space. Maybe this podcast is one of those spaces. If you feel responsible for your family, I want to ask you something softly. When was the last time you asked yourself, what makes me feel alive? Alive, not just functioning, not just surviving. Alive. Maybe it is learning something new. Maybe it is speaking English with confidence. Maybe it is creating something. Maybe it is simply walking alone at night and feeling the air on your face. Aliveness is important, because when you feel alive, your responsibility feels lighter, not because it disappears, but because you are stronger inside. There is a difference between carrying something because you must and carrying something because you choose to and still feel whole. Whole means complete, not broken into pieces. You deserve to feel whole. Let's practice a sentence that might feel uncomfortable, but powerful. My life matters too. Say it slowly. My life matters too. Again. My life matters too. This is not selfish. It is balanced. Sometimes people who carry responsibility become very good at hiding their stress. You smile, you joke, you say, everything's okay. But inside, you might feel isolated. Isolated means alone, separated from others emotionally. Even when you are surrounded by family, you can feel isolated if no one sees your struggle. This is why expression is important. Expression means showing your thoughts and feelings. English can become a tool for expression. For example, instead of saying only, I'm tired, you can say, I feel mentally exhausted. Mentally in your mind. Exhausted, extremely tired. Or you can say, I'm under a lot of pressure lately. Under pressure, experiencing stress. Or even, I'm trying to stay strong, but it's not easy. These sentences are honest, and honesty creates connection. You do not have to tell everyone everything, but maybe you can choose one person, one safe person, and say a little more than I'm fine. That is courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is speaking even when you are afraid. When you feel responsible for your family, you may believe that your emotions are a burden. A burden is something heavy that is difficult to carry. But emotions are not burdens. They are signals. Signals tell you what you need. If you feel constant anxiety, maybe you need reassurance. If you feel constant exhaustion, maybe you need rest. If you feel resentment, maybe you need boundaries. Boundaries are limits that protect your energy and well-being. Saying, "I can't do this right now," is a boundary. Saying, "I need some time for myself," is a boundary. Boundaries do not mean you love your family less. They mean you are trying to love them in a sustainable way. Sustainable means something that can continue for a long time without breaking. You want your support to be sustainable, not explosive and then empty. There is another quiet fear many responsible people carry. What if I disappoint them? We talked about this before, but I want to go deeper. Sometimes, the fear of disappointing your family stops you from making bold decisions. Bold means brave and confident. Maybe you want to move to another city. Maybe you want to change careers. Maybe you want to study abroad. And you imagine their faces, their questions, their concerns. And you freeze. Freeze not physically cold, but emotionally unable to move. But here is something to consider. Your family might worry. That is natural. Worry does not always mean disapproval. And even if they do not fully understand your choice at first, that does not mean you are wrong. Growing sometimes creates temporary discomfort. Temporary means not permanent. When you grow, relationships must also adjust. Adjust means change slightly to fit a new situation. That can feel uncomfortable, but it is part of life. If you always stay the same to keep everyone comfortable, you may slowly become uncomfortable inside yourself. And your inner discomfort matters. You matter. Let's take a gentle breath together. Imagine inhaling slowly. And as you exhale, say quietly, "I am allowed to grow." Say it again. I am allowed to grow. Growth and responsibility can exist together. You do not have to choose between being a good son, daughter, brother, sister, and being yourself. Being yourself does not cancel your love. It deepens it. Because when you live honestly, your support becomes authentic. Authentic means real and true. Not forced, not resentful, not fake. Real. There may be days when you feel strong and capable. Capable means able to do something successfully. And there may be days when you feel fragile. Fragile means easily hurt or broken. Both are human. Both are normal. If today you feel strong, I am happy for you. If today you feel fragile, I am still here with you. Remember this. Responsibility is a role you play. It is not your entire identity. You are more than your role, more than your salary, more than your achievements, more than your ability to solve problems. You are a person with a heart that feels deeply, and that heart deserves care. As you continue learning English, let it become a place where you practice saying the things you usually hide. I feel scared about the future. I feel proud of how far I've come. I feel tired, but I won't give up. I want something more. These sentences are powerful. They are not just language exercises. They are life exercises. And every time you speak honestly, even if your English is not perfect, you are strengthening something inside yourself. Confidence does not grow from perfection. It grows from practice, from showing up, from trying again. So if you feel responsible for your family, carry that responsibility with compassion not only for them, but for yourself. Compassion means kindness towards suffering, including your own. You are doing something meaningful. You are supporting people you love. But you are also a human being, walking your own path. Do not forget your own path. Do not silence your own dreams. And do not believe that your only value is what you give. You deserve rest. You deserve joy. You deserve space to grow. And you deserve a voice. Even now, as we sit together in this quiet space, I imagine you somewhere in the world, maybe at your desk after a long day, maybe on your bed with the lights off, maybe on a bus going home. Your body might be tired, but your mind is still moving. Responsibility has a way of following you everywhere. It follows you into your conversations. When your parent says, "Are you eating well?" you hear the love, but you also hear the unspoken question, "Are you okay? Are you stable? Are you safe?" It follows you into your career decisions. When your manager offers a new opportunity, you don't only think, "Do I want this?" You think, "Is this secure? Is this wise? Is this safe for everyone who depends on me?" And safety becomes very important. Safety is not only physical, it is emotional, it is financial, it is psychological. When you feel responsible for your family, you often choose safety over excitement. And sometimes that is wise. But sometimes it slowly disconnects you from your own desires. There is a quiet difference between being careful and being afraid. Careful means thinking before acting. Afraid means not acting at all. If you notice that fear is controlling your decisions, not wisdom, that is an important awareness. Awareness is the first step to change. You do not need to change everything immediately. You do not need to suddenly become bold and dramatic. But you can start by asking yourself small questions. What am I afraid of? What is the worst realistic outcome? What is the best possible outcome? When you put fear into words, it becomes smaller. When fear stays undefined, it becomes huge. Undefined means unclear, without shape. Sometimes your anxiety is not about money or success. It is about identity. You may think, "If I stop being the strong one, who am I?" That is a powerful question. If you are not the responsible one, not the reliable one, not the provider, then who are you? The answer is simple, but not easy to feel. You are still you. Responsibility is something you do. It is not something you are. You are a complex human being with many layers. Layer is like one part on top of another. There is a layer of responsibility, a layer of love, a layer of fear, a layer of ambition, a layer of doubt, a layer of hope. All of these exist together, and none of them alone defines you completely. Sometimes, the people who feel most responsible are also the ones who struggle quietly with loneliness. Because they think, "No one can help me. I must handle this alone." Handle means manage or deal with something. But handling everything alone is exhausting. Exhausting means draining your energy completely. Even if you cannot change your external situation right now, you can change the way you speak to yourself. Notice your inner voice. Does it say, "You must not fail"? "You cannot be weak"? "You have no excuse"? Or can it say, "You're doing your best"? "You're allowed to rest"? "You're learning"? Your inner voice becomes your daily companion. Companion means someone who stays with you. Make that companion kind. You deserve a kind inner voice. Let's practice something together. Say, "I respect my effort." Again, "I respect my effort." You may not always get the results you want, but you can respect your effort. Effort is the energy you put into something, and effort is within your control. Results are not always within your control. When you feel responsible for your family, you may believe that you must control the results. But life does not work that way. You can work hard and still face challenges. You can plan carefully and still experience uncertainty. Uncertainty means not knowing what will happen, and uncertainty is uncomfortable. But it is also part of being alive. If you wait until everything feels certain before you breathe, before you rest, before you allow yourself to enjoy something, you may wait forever. It is okay to experience joy even when not everything is solved. It is okay to laugh even when there are bills to pay. It is okay to dream even when there are responsibilities. Joy is not irresponsible. Joy is nourishment. Nourishment means something that gives strength and health. Your mind and heart need nourishment too. If you only live in survival mode, you slowly shrink inside. Survival mode means focusing only on basic needs and constant alertness. But you are more than someone who survives. You are someone who grows. Growth does not mean abandoning your family. It means expanding your capacity emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. And as you expand, you actually become more stable. Not because you control everything, but because you know yourself better. When you know your limits, you can protect your energy. When you know your values, you can make clearer decisions. When you know your fears, you can face them gently. And when you know your love, you can give it freely without losing yourself. I want you to imagine something one more time. Imagine your family many years from now, looking back at this time in your life. Do you think they would want to see someone who destroyed themselves with pressure? Or someone who carried responsibility with strength and self-respect? Self-respect means valuing yourself and your well-being. Carrying responsibility with self-respect means working hard but not destroying your health. Caring deeply but not abandoning your identity. Supporting others but also investing in your own future. You are allowed to build a life that includes both devotion and freedom. Devotion means strong love and commitment. Freedom means the ability to choose your path. You do not have to choose one and lose the other. And maybe, just maybe, the next time you feel that familiar weight in your chest, you will not see it only as pressure. You might see it as love. Love can be heavy, but love can also be meaningful. If you carry love consciously with awareness and boundaries, it becomes strength. If you carry it unconsciously with fear and self-neglect, it becomes a burden. So choose awareness. Choose gentle honesty. Choose language that empowers you. Instead of saying, "I'm trapped," try saying, "I'm navigating a difficult season." Navigating means finding your way through something. Life has seasons. Some seasons are about building. Some seasons are about giving. Some seasons are about resting. This season of responsibility will not last forever in the same way. Things will change. You will change. Your family will change. And one day, you may look back at this period and realize how much you grew. Not only in your career, not only in your finances, but in your emotional depth, in your resilience. Resilience means the ability to recover and continue after difficulty. You are becoming resilient. Even now, even when you doubt yourself, even when you feel tired. And as you continue learning English, remember this: every sentence you practice is a small act of growth. Every time you describe your feelings, you build clarity. Every time you listen carefully, you strengthen your awareness. You are not just improving your language skills. You are strengthening your relationship with yourself. And that relationship is the foundation of everything else. If you can speak to yourself with honesty and kindness, if you can admit when you are tired and still choose to continue gently, if you can balance responsibility with self-care, then you are not only a responsible son or daughter, you are a wise human being. And wisdom grows slowly, just like language, just like confidence, just like trust. So tonight, before you sleep, place your hand on your chest for a moment. Feel your breathing and say quietly, "I care deeply. I am learning balance. I am enough." Let those words settle inside you. You are not alone in carrying responsibility. But you do not have to carry it in silence. You have a voice. You have awareness. You have the ability to grow. And I believe in that. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself.